Hello friends, welcome to latest basic banking knowledge bites YouTube channel. In today's video, let's learn about negotiable instruments such as promissory note, bill of exchange and check. Now let's see in detail one by one. Now let's see what is negotiable instrument. The word negotiable instrument means transferring any instrument from one person or entity to another person or entity, and the instrument means any written document. So negotiable instrument means any written and signed document which can be transferable, and this transfer can be done by two ways. That is, you can transfer by simple delivery, and the second way of transferring is through endorsement and delivery. Say for example, suppose if I issue a check with no payee name written, which is called the bearer check. Bearer means the payment is made to person whoever holds that instrument. Now, if you want to transfer that check to another person or any third party, you can simply transfer the check by simply delivering it to that person. Suppose if I give you a check writing your name, and now if you want to transfer that check to another person, you can transfer that check to the person by endorsement and delivery. That is, you need to sign at the backside of the check and the name of the person should be written at the backside, and you can transfer by means of endorsement. That is called endorsement. As per Section 13 of Negotiable Instrument Act 1881, negotiable instrument means any promissory note or bill of exchange or check which is payable either to the order or the bearer. Order means the instrument will be paid to a specific person, and bearer means the payment will be made to any person whoever bears or carries the instrument. And this Negotiable Instrument Act was enacted on 9th December 1881 and it came into force on 1st March 1882, and this Negotiable Instrument Act is applicable to the all of India including Jammu and Kashmir. Next is we have promissory note. What is promissory note? Promissory note is a unique financial instrument which binds the borrowers by law to pay the lenders a specified sum of money at a specified date or on demand. These promissory notes are used for taking loans from individuals or companies instead of banks. Usually, these promissory notes are used for borrowing a moderate sum of money to purchase a real estate or to start business or to buy a vehicle or to consolidate your debts or to construct or renovate a new home. Generally, promissory note is of two types. One is secured and the other one is unsecured promissory note. In case of a secured promissory note, the borrower will provide a collateral such as goods or property. So if the borrower fails to repay the amount, that amount can be recovered using that collateral. And this collateral value must be equal or more than the amount borrowed. In case of unsecured promissory note, no such collateral is provided. Now let's see the basic elements of a promissory note. The promissory note should contain the names of all the parties involved in the transaction. That is, the promissory note should include the legal names of all the parties who are a part of transaction. The promissory note should contain contact numbers and address of all the parties involved in the transaction. And the next is the promissory note should contain the loan amount. That is, the amount being borrowed or lent must be there in that note. And the promissory note should contain the date of repayment. That is, the note should contain the date on which the repayment for the loan amount must be paid. The promissory note should include the rate of interest. That is, if interest is charged on the borrower amount, then that must be included in that note. The promissory note should contain collateral in case of secured promissory note. That is, the note includes the details of collateral like goods or property which are put as a guarantee for the loan taken, and that value should be mentioned in that in case of secured promissory note. The promissory note must contain the terms of repayment. That is, the note must clearly mention the terms on which the repayment of loan is to be made. The promissory note should contain default terms, and the note must include the terms in case the borrower fails to make the payment of loan amount on time. The promissory note must include the signatures. That is, the note should compulsorily include the sign of borrower and two witnesses. The promissory notes basically valid for a period of 3 years from the date it was written. So after this 3 years, the note becomes invalid and there is no maximum limit on the borrowed amount. The promissory note should also be stamped. And the parties involved in this promissory notes are promisor or debtor and or drawer. The promisor or debtor is basically the person or entity who promises to pay the amount borrowed back to the lender or the creditor. Whereas promisee or creditor is the person who has been promised by promisor or debtor. This example you can see Y borrowed 1 lakh rupees from X. So Y will give a promissory note to X promising to repay the borrowed amount of that 1 lakh rupees. Here Y is the debtor or the promisor and X is the creditor or the promisee. Here you can see a sample of the promissory note. In this note, you can see the date on which the note is written and also the amount, the place is also being mentioned. In this note, you can see Mrs. Q promises to repay 1,50,000 rupees borrowed from Mr. P. And the repayment term is also mentioned. That is, the repayment is to be made for a period of 50 months. That is, every month beginning 3,300 rupees is to be paid at the rate of interest of 10%. So totally 1,65,000 rupees is to be paid back to Mr. P. So in this illustration, Mrs. Q is the promisor or debtor and Mr. P is the creditor or promisee. Now let's see about bill of exchange. If you see in case of trade in seller point of view, if the seller wishes to increase the sale, the seller will give the goods to buyer on a credit basis. That is, after a short period of time, the seller will get amount for the goods sold to the buyer. Say for example, if A is selling goods to B on a credit basis, now B don't have money presently. So the B will give the money to A only after 60 days. So this is, you call it as credit basis. Here in this case, A has sold goods to B. So A writes the bill of exchange to B that contains the due amount to be repaid within specific time, that is within 60 days. So B will sign and accept this bill of exchange, and which will be like a proof of selling A's goods to B. Now A can go to any bank and get business loan by presenting this bill of exchange as a proof. Generally, this bill of exchange is used in trade. The main parties involved in this bill of exchange are drawer, drawee and payee. So what is drawer? Drawer is the maker of bill of exchange. That is, the seller or creditor who is entitled to receive money from the debtor can draw a bill of exchange upon this buyer or debtor. And drawee is the person upon whom the bill of exchange is drawn. That is, drawee is the purchaser or debtor of the goods upon whom the bill of exchange is drawn. Payee. Payee is the person to whom the payment is to be made. Payee actually changes based on certain cases. There is in case if the drawer has got the bill discounted, that person who has discounted the bill will become the payee. In case if the bill of exchange is endorsed in favor of a creditor of the drawer, the creditor will become the payee. But in general, if you see, the drawer and payee are the same person. Similarly, drawee and acceptor are the same person. Say for example, if Shakti has sold goods worth of rupees 10,000 to Priya and Shakti has drawn this bill of exchange that this 10,000 rupees must be paid after 3 months by Priya. And if this bill of exchange is retained by Shakti for 3 months and 10,000 rupees is received by Shakti on due date, then Shakti will be the payee. But if Shakti gives this bill of exchange to another person or creditor, say for example Ram, by endorsing his name and signing at the backside of the bill of exchange, then Ram will become the payee. So in this example, Shakti is the drawer or seller or creditor and Priya is the drawee. Since Priya has accepted this bill of exchange, Priya will be the acceptor and the endorser is Shakti and endorsee will be Ram. The basic difference between this bill of exchange and promissory note is, in case of bill of exchange, drawer is the seller or creditor, but in case of promissory note, drawer is the debtor or buyer. And this bill of exchange should contain the title of the bill. That is, the title bill of exchange will be mentioned on the face of the document. And the bill of exchange should contain the date when it was drawn. And the bill of exchange also should contain amount to be paid, and the amount must be mentioned in both words and figures so that no one can alter the amount. This bill of exchange should also contain maturity date. That is, after how many days or month the payment is to be paid from the date the bill of exchange was drawn. The bill of exchange should include parties' name involved in this debt transaction, and also it should contain address. That is, name and address of both drawer or seller and drawee or buyer should be there in that bill of exchange. And the one more condition is this bill of exchange must be stamped. That is, revenue stamp should be pasted on this bill of exchange to make it a valid document. And here in this bill of exchange, 3 days grace is available to the drawee for paying after the due date. Say for example, if a bill dated December 1, 2021 is to be payable after 3 months, then the legal due date will be 3 months after December 2021, that is on 1st March 2022, plus 3 days of grace will be there. So the buyer or the drawee can pay on or before 4th March 2020. It is always better to consult a lawyer for preparing the promissory note or bill of exchange instead using the formats available online, because lawyer only knows all the requirements to be included in these instruments as per Indian law, which will be helpful in case of legal complications. Now we will see about check. What is check? Check is an unconditional order in writing drawn by a customer of a bank requesting the bank to pay on demand upon presentation a specified sum of money to the payee mentioned in the check. The main parties involved in this check transaction are drawer, drawee, payee, endorser and endorser. Drawer is nothing but the one who writes the check and signs the check to debit his bank account to pay that amount to the payee. Whereas drawee is any financial institution that pays to the payee. That is, in case if you deposit a check in your bank will be the drawee. And here payee is the beneficiary, that is the person to whom the amount is being paid. An endorser is the party who has the right to transfer the payment to another party by means of endorsement. That is, the party will write the party name at the back side and simply they will transfer to that person. An endorsee is nothing but the person or the party who receives checks from the endorser. Now let's see about types of check. First we have bearer check. In bearer check, this is payable to a person whoever presents the check, and this bearer check is of high risk because in case of stolen or lost, it can be paid over the bank counter without any ID verification by simply presenting that check. Next we have order check. In order check, the word bearer after the payee name and check is striked out and order is written instead. So the order check will be paid only to the particular payee mentioned in the check, and the payment through order check is safe because bank will pay only after the ID verification of the presenter, that is who is presenting the check. Next we have crossed check. In crossed check, two parallel lines with the words account payee will be written on the top left corner of the check. The crossed checks are not transferable to any third party. This crossing is basically an instruction to a paying bank to transfer the specified amount to the payee account from the drawer's account, and the crossed checks cannot be encashed over the bank counter. Next is open check. Open check is basically any check which has not been crossed and it can be transferred to another party. Next we have post dated check. Post dated check is any check issued with a future date written over the check. That is, the banks will not honor this post dated check before the date mentioned on the checks. Say for example, if a check is presented in clearing on 7th November, but the check has a future date of 15th November on it, so it will not be processed by banks. Next is stale check. In general, check is valid only for a period of 3 months from the date it was issued. So any check which crosses the validity of 3 months, it is said to be a stale check. Say for example, if a check issue date is on 1st May 2021 but presented in clearing on 1st November 2021, it cannot be processed and it will be written as it is a stale check. Next is traveler's check. Traveler check generally used by the people who frequently travel abroad for vacation or for the business purpose. So instead of carrying cash, these people present this traveler check over the bank counter of the country they travel and get it encashed in the form of currency in that country they visit. Next we have self check. In this, drawer usually uses the self check to withdraw money from his bank account in cash by mentioning self as pay name. But self-check can be encashed only at issuers or drawers bank. Self-check is unsafe because once if stolen or lost, some other person might present the self-check in drawers bank and get it encashed over the counter. Next we have banker's check. Bank will issue these banker's check on behalf of account holder to make remittance to another person in the same city, and the specified amount will be debited from the bank account holder and then the bank will issue this banker check. Generally, this banker check is issued by the banks for reasons like payment of maturity on bank deposits, upon payment of balance in account, that is on account closing, then upon payment of electricity charges, and for paying rent to the landlords. So for basically these reasons, the banker checks are preferred. Next we have blank check. In blank check, the drawer will not fill up any details like pay name, amount in words and figures is not mentioned. Simply the drawer will sign and issue the check to the payee. So the bearer of this blank check is free to write any amount on the check. The blank checks are generally issued for the trustworthy parties. Next we have mutilated check. Mutilated check is any check which is torn into two or more pieces. Basically, banks process this mutilated checks only upon confirmation from the drawer. So these are the parts of check. Here the first one represents the drawee bank. Here it is Canara Bank. And the second one represents the crossing. That is account pay is mentioned in between two parallel lines. And the third one denotes the pay name. That is the drawer will write the name of the person to which the payment is to be made. And the date represents the drawer will write the date when the check was being issued. So here the fifth part shows the word called bearer. Bearer means whoever is presenting this particular check will get the payment. To avoid this, always it is better to cross this bearer so that the payment will be made only to the particular person mentioned on the check. So in this sixth part, the drawer should mention the amount to be paid clearly in words. In the seventh part, the drawer must write the amount in numbers and draw a line after this number so that no one can alter it. And the eighth part denotes drawer's signature should be there in that. And the ninth part is the check number, that is 6-digit number. So in this 10th part shows the account number will be mentioned. That is the person who has issued, no, that account number will be mentioned here. And the 11th one we have Miker code. So this Miker code is basically a 9-digit code. The first 3-digit represents the city and the next 3-digit represents the bank and the last 3-digit represents the branch. And the 12th part is the transaction ID of the check. Now let's see when the stop payment can be made. So the stop payment can be made by the banks in case of death of drawer. That is, if drawer, that is the person who has written the check is dead before the payment due date, then stop payment can be done. In case of company liquidation, that is, if a company collapses, then the court declares that company as bankrupt. So in that case, stop payment will be issued. And the next is countermanding. Countermanding generally happens when a payee asks the banks to stop payment over the check. So the drawers can issue stop payment also in case if the check is lost or stolen or there is no sufficient balance in the drawer's account to pay. Also, banks can issue the stop payment on check deposited if the customer has taken a lot of loans and fails to repay. The court will declare the customer as insolvent. So the customer will not be able to operate his bank account. So if such account holder gives the check, the payment will be withheld. Next, we will see about bouncing of checks. So what is check bounce? Say for example, if X is giving a check to Y, but Y is not able to get paid because of insufficient balance in X account. And this is called dishonor of check. Here, Y will get the check return memo. With that, Y can send a legal notice to X within 30 days to repay the amount, and X should pay within 15 days after receiving the legal notice from Y. In case if this X fails to repay the amount within 15 days upon receiving the legal notice from Y, now Y can go to the civil court and Y will file a case against this X within 13 days after sending the legal notice to X, for which court can imprison X up to 2 years or pay the fine amount up to twice the amount to be paid to Y. Friends, please like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel and just click on the bell icon to get the latest notifications. Thanks for watching. Take care.